This is me testing out going live tonight, y'all. I haven't been live on YouTube in so long, and I'm not doing anything on this Friday evening, so I thought, why not come on here and talk to my peeps that I've grown to know and love over here on YouTube. The Asha Sari show was popping last year. I think I did 60 episodes last year, and I hate to say I have not been back on the Asha Sari show. So let's just call this a soft launch of the Asha Sari show returning. Um, let's see. Greetings. I hope you all come on in the room to join me on this Friday evening. Happy Friday. It's a new month. We're in April. We're in the middle of, well, not quite the middle of spring, but we're officially in spring. It's a new season. And I'll be honest with y'all. I'm excited about 2026. I was excited about it. I'm still excited about it. I'm still hopeful for it, but I'm not going front. 2026 first quarter dragged me. I've been getting dragged, but I'm fighting back. I'm standing up. I'm not giving up. I'm still here. So let's get into it. So I just wanted to have a conversation because there's something that has been coming up for me. It's really not nothing new necessarily, but it's been coming back up recently. This conversation has been coming up with my clients as well as my friend group. And I think it's a good topic to talk about and get opinions about because we're in an interesting time when it comes to dating and love and relationships. And, you know, us millennials, we've been through a lot. Um, and I have clients who are Gen X as well. And ain't nobody trying to play. Ain't nobody trying to play with their time. Ain't nobody trying to play with their lives. Ain't nobody trying to play with what they're doing. Um, and not trying to be played. Ain't nobody trying to play or be played, but people out here playing. So I'm saying all that to say, when it comes to dating and relationships and being single, um, people want to connect with something that's real. People want to be very intentional. And I posted the other day about the difference between dating and intentional love. Like dating is exploring, is getting to know someone, it's having a good time, seeing where you all, how you all connect, how you converse, what type of um, chemistry you all have. And, sharing space, going out and sharing experiences with each other. It doesn't necessarily always lead to your forever person. It could just be, I find you attractive. Let's go spend some time with each other. I like your personality. You seem dope. I'm not quite sure if you would be my forever person, but I'm willing to test it out for a little while longer. Or I already know you're not my forever, but we enjoy each other. We're having fun. We're dating other people. We know what it is. We're communicating that. So there's different levels to this. But I believe that when people get into the space of intentional dating, where they are very serious and very selective about who they're dating, who they're spending time with, who they're sharing space with, who they're sharing intimacy with, all of those things, we get real strict. You start creating a very strict program where, um, you know, everybody can't get in, everybody can't go with you. And it's almost like the more you heal, I ain't gonna say it's almost like it is like the more you heal, the more you do the work on yourself as an individual, the higher your sense of self-esteem, your sense of self-worth, your self-esteem, your confidence, and your standards. All of these things get extremely high. The more work you do on yourself, the more you heal, the more you get to know yourself, the more you figure out what it is that you want. it's very strict. So one thing I can say from experience, from hearing other people's stories, from clients, from friends, all of the things, once you get to a point where your standards are high because your self-esteem is high, your self-worth is high, you know what you want, you're not trying to play no games, you're not just trying to have fun, you really are ready for marriage, or you're ready for something serious, or you're ready to connect with someone to start a family, you really start unconsciously depriving yourself of certain things, for lack of a better term. And that's why I wanted to have this conversation tonight. Because the question is, somebody being loud upstairs. Can you have a lover? Wow. What did I title this show? Because I want to say the title exactly how I wrote it. Can you have a lover while waiting for the one? Can you have a lover while waiting for the one, or lovers? And I'm saying all this to say, when you get to a certain point of your intentional dating journey, a lot of people decide that I ain't getting close to nobody, I'm not going out with nobody, I'm definitely not having sex with anybody unless a commitment is made, or unless some type of um, emotions are shared. We care for each other. We're on the same page, we're on the same path. But the reality of it is, these days, it can take a very long time. Hold on. Okay. It could take a very long time to align with someone who meets the standards of your forever person. It's not like, there's all these people that check all your boxes off on every corner. It's a journey. It takes a lot of energy, effort, time, um, to really go on and be intentional with your dating. And if you luck out, you find somebody that's compatible with you, that aligns with you and everything that you desire very quickly, and you get started on the next steps. But the average person is not having that experience, especially during these times. So the average person is trying to do it organically. Okay, hopefully I'll run into somebody at the grocery store. It's not happening. Um, hopefully I can, you know, start reaching out to my friends who are coupled up or married, and maybe they can hook me up with somebody. Hasn't happened yet. Okay, let me be a little bit more proactive. Maybe you're not the type of person that goes out as much as far as on the social scene. Maybe you step outside the box and you start doing that. Okay, you haven't met anyone yet. Okay, so you start to be a little bit more proactive and you say, let me try out the dating apps, see what's out there. Maybe I could see something someone that I wouldn't normally see on my day to day routine, or since I don't go out as much, or since I've tried to go out and haven't met anyone, let me go online. And then you get into the how you doing, what you doing, how you been, what's your favorite color, where you from. You already know the small talk. So you go through the small talk, maybe you connect with somebody. Maybe y'all got something in common. Y'all start talking a little bit more. You get on the phone. Hopefully you get to a date. The date can go good or bad. You never know. If it doesn't go as planned, you start from scratch. So this is just what we're dealing with as far as this journey. So what happens when you're being very intentional, you've done that work as an individual, and you're not really wanting to be abstinent. These are the conversations that are being had. You want to be selective of who you share intimacy with, but you don't really have the desire to be abstinent. So, what happens during that time? If you're single and selective, but have needs, and you haven't met your forever person. Your forever person is here. You're here, single and selective. What goes on in between here? So that's where the question comes in at, do you or can you have a lover while waiting for the one? And trust me, I'm not promoting situationships because I'm anti situationship personally. I'm not promoting confusion because whatever you do requires clarity, no matter what the setup or the agreement is. I am wanting to discuss exploring intentional conscious choices. And one of those conscious choices could be having a lover and or lovers, depending on where you're at in your journey. Now, personally, I remember I got I think it was a semi, it was supposed to be like an astrocartography reading, which is basically someone, an astrologist will take your birth chart and see exactly where your lines align with how they align with the planet, and like where your sun sign or sun line, what city, states, countries does it fall in. That's where you would be most confident or whatever. Where your Venus line is, that's where you would probably experience the most love, all of those things. So I was told different areas where it would be most likely for me to find love. But during that reading as well, I think she also did a birth chart reading. And she was saying, like, oh, you're supposed to be, traveling and experiencing all these beautiful, intimate relationships and having lovers and this and that. And that doesn't necessarily align with what I want. Personally, I would like to have, be with my person. Um, and it doesn't, you could have a person and it might not go as planned, and then you have to figure out what you want to do. So this conversation keeps coming up, and I thought it would be interesting to explore, what does that actually look like? Because if you're doing the work, you're healing, you're dating with intention. A lot of women or a lot of people want their next relationship to be their last relationship. They want their next relationship to be their person, their forever. And let's keep it 100. We're grown. And I don't know about y'all, but grown women, once we get to a certain age, the older we get, the more the hormones are raging. So, yes, I have been on a 5.5 year abstinence journey myself. So it is doable. I've done that before. I've had multiple abstinence journeys. I think the 5.5 years was the longest. Not, I think it was. Um, I've been on like 8 months, a year, 2 years, and it's definitely doable. And I have, tips and advice for people who do want to be abstinent during their path of intentional love. There's definitely ways for you to be successful in your journey without feeling deprived, depleted, and disappointed in the fact that you're not getting that. You can transmute that energy um, into creativity, into passions, into other things. And there's multiple ways to keep yourself busy, occupied, and fulfilled, even when you're not necessarily having that type of intimacy in your life. But for the people who don't want to be abstinent, who actually feel like they want to maintain having a healthy sex life, even if they're not with their forever person, it gets to the point where, you have to make some choices. And I don't think a lot of people, mostly women, just speak for women, a lot of women don't even consider that as an option because respectability politics, could be religious beliefs, could be that she, feels as if she has someone fulfilling that need, maybe that's also putting someone in the energy of holding that space where she really wants the masculine energy to come through as her forever person. There's lots of different reasons why a woman may be hesitant on exploring um, having a lover during her journey of finding intentional love. So, with a lover, it has to be very, very clear. And I don't even think I've necessarily experienced this myself, but I've done some thinking about it because the conversation keeps coming up. And I've done some research and I've, just really considered what would that look like for someone who's interested in doing that. And it would really take a lot of communication, a lot of emotional maturity, a lot of respect, and a lot of transparency. Definitely, before you even think about doing it, you have to ask yourself, can you emotionally handle just having a lover, no strings attached? Do you actually have the emotional capacity to put yourself in a position, no pun intended, to have a pleasurable experience with a person and it just be that? Um, and lovers don't have to be confined to the bedroom. This could be someone that you do decide, you know, you, you know each other. You know that that person is not your person, and they know you're not their person for whatever reason. It could be one person wants children and the other person doesn't. It could be one person has a particular idea of how they want to raise their children and the other person doesn't necessarily agree with that. It could be your cultures don't necessarily align, and you're good on marriage or having a long-term situation with each other, but y'all vibe and y'all are attracted to each other. You find something interesting about each other that you want to explore further. um, the question, I mean, the main question that has to be asked is, can you actually handle that? Because a lot of people will say, yeah, I can be intimate with this person and share, um, this type of experience with them and not get my heart involved. And then a few moments later, you're sliding down the wall because you now are attached to this person. You want more. You dignitized, whatever it is. Um, so you don't want to f around and find yourself in a situationship or in some type of toxic entanglement or some type of unhealthy attachment. So just be real with yourself. If you can't handle it, don't even go there. It would have to be a mutual agreement that you both can handle. And, you know, you have to make sure that you're still on your path. So if you're still, on this journey of intentional love and you want to find your person, you have to maintain that pursuit. Like, you can't get caught up in the lover and then stop dating, stop keeping yourself open to finding love, not, returning messages on the dating app or whatever your method is of finding this person. And then there's, back to the like respectability politics and all of that. A lot of men don't want to date a woman who's dating other men. And then you have to consider that if you have a lover and you start dating someone and you start liking this person, how is this cutoff going to be from this lover? Because you might not be the one that didn't caught feelings. It might be him. And now he's going crazy because now you cut him off because you didn't found somebody you're interested in. So I feel like it's possible to have a healthy understanding with someone, but I think that it can get messy if it's not maturity, transparency, and really, really hard boundaries set between the two of you. Like, ooh, I need to talk to some people that have experienced this. I need to I need to do a poll and find out who's actually, experienced having a lover. And again, I don't want to blur that line and say this a situationship or a smash buddy, like a friend with benefit, like a true lover, like you all, you know, you just have this passion between you all, and you might even go on dates, you might even travel together, you might, have this passionate experience where it's just y'all know what's up. This is what y'all do with each other, and then that's it. What does that look like when it ends? What does it look like? What does it look like when you are being pursued or pursuing someone else? Like, I'm I'm curious. I feel like, you know, the reason we don't hear a lot about this is because it does end up turning into something else, but who knows? So I wanted to make sure I talked about everything I wanted to talk about before I move on to the next subject. But I do feel like I might not necessarily um, have personal experience with the lover situation or um, have had that many stories told to me about successful lover stories. But I do feel as though these are the type of things that we could talk about in a coaching session as far as if you need clarity on what do you actually want, because a lot of people don't even know that. A lot of people know that they're quote unquote maybe lonely, or maybe they're desiring a relationship, or they think they're desiring a relationship when maybe they just want to cuddle. Maybe you really just want a lover and you're not even really trying to be bothered with what it takes to be in a relationship. Because let me tell y'all, relationships are not just fantasy world, rainbows and butterflies skipping through the flowers in the meadow. What they call it, frolicking. It's work, and it's really it's almost like uh what's the word I'm looking for? I want to say you get tested a lot in relationships. It tests you, it brings up you know childhood wounds. It's literally someone holding a mirror up to you and like showing you what you need to continue to work on as an individual. It definitely, someone said the other day, like picking a partner is like choosing a co-parent for your inner child. And I think that's really the best way to put it, because when you're in a relationship with someone, it does create opportunities for you to be shown where you still need to work on, the growth that you need to still do. And then it requires two people that want to put in effort. There's different attachment styles, there's different communication styles. All of these things get blended together, and you have to figure it out, and you have to have a partner that's willing to figure it out as well. And it takes a lot of work and a lot of effort, and a lot of people are not actually ready for that. They just think they are. They just want the matching pajamas and the photo shoots and the kissing and the hugging and the holding hands and the change their status to in a relationship and all of that. And they don't think about all that comes along with it. Same for marriage. People want the ring, the title, the wedding, the dress, the cake, the DJ, the honeymoon, but not thinking about all of the things that are required to have a successful marriage, blending families, having shared values, handling bills and rent and more or mortgage or whatever it is, deciding where you're going to live, raising children. Do you have the same parenting styles? Like, these are the important things that are needed for relationships and marriage, the important things to discuss that people think that they want but haven't really thought it all the way through. So do you actually want all of that? Are you ready to do that work, or are you just wanting someone to are you just seeking intimacy? So there's some questions that I would have for you in a session to help you gain clarity on what it is that you actually want, and to help you with the journey to receive it. If you may realize, I don't want them problems when it comes to a relationship. I may not be ready for that, but I am ready for someone to rub my feet and feed me grapes and, you know, have a wonderful night of pleasure, and then they go on about their way. That's all I need right now, because I'm fulfilled in other areas, or I'm, busy, or whatever it is. Um, you really have to ask yourself, what do you actually want? Okay. And what can you actually handle? But anywho, in other news, I posted yesterday about Brandy's memoir Phases that just recently dropped, I think last week, and everybody's talking about the fact that she basically called out Wanye Morris for having a relationship with her when she was underage. She said she was 16 and he was 22 and it was inappropriate. He was an adult, she was a child. And then, of course, you hear all of the yapping, all of the backlash, all of the comments, all of the people saying, oh, that's not a big age gap. Stop acting like a victim. You knew what you was doing, all of this. And it reminded me of my own story because when I met my ex-husband, I was 16 and he was 23. And I had a viral video or viral interview last year about that. And I got the same feedback, the same backlash. Oh, you must have been fast. Oh, who failed you? Oh, you're not a victim. You were willing. You knew what you was doing. The same thing that they say about the young girls that dealt with R. Kelly. She was fast. She knew what she was doing. Lock up the parents. It's never, nobody ever wants to hold the men accountable for their part in the situation as being the adult or the more mature person in the situation. So I think that this Brandy excerpt that has gone viral is bringing up the conversation again. And it's just pretty much, people need to not just talk to their daughters about not being fast or not, losing their virginity too soon or not, you know, all of the things that we talk to girls about. Don't do this, don't do that. We also need to talk to our young men, our young boys, and talk to them about appropriate behavior, appropriate age gaps. Like once you get to a certain age, you shouldn't even be thinking about a teenage girl. So the conversations are being had. People don't know what grooming is. People don't know what, those dynamics look like and how the teenage girl is affected. Um, I remember when the R. Kelly stuff started really circulating around, and whenever these type of issues happen, it's always people in the comments talking about, oh yeah, y'all was the ones riding around when y'all were in high school, riding around with the older men. And it's almost as if you're saying you all were willing participants and now you want to speak out against it. But you have to also keep in mind that we were kids, we were children, we were teenagers. I'm not going to say we didn't know any better, but have you talked to a 16-year-old lately? Most likely you didn't know any better. We thought we knew what we were doing. We thought we were mature enough to handle the things. But now that we are grown and we have learned and we have evolved and we have experience and we have more wisdom to understand that the situations that we were in, or put ourselves in, or were placed in, or whatever the situation was, were not appropriate. So now we're speaking up about it now that we know better. You know better, you do better. And since we know better, we're speaking out about it so that other young ladies won't have to experience it. Or maybe parents will take the time to speak to their young girls and young boys about, you know, dating and being with people who they're not supposed to be with. And I feel like in our community, we try to shelter mostly girls, boys too, but we try to shelter them so much to the point where it's not talked about, it's shamed, it's silenced, and young people have to end up learning from friends or from social media or TV or books or wherever, because we didn't have social media when we were younger. So you pretty much just learning about certain things from whoever's around you, whether that's classmates or friends. You may have somebody talking to you about it, but you're not necessarily taking it seriously. But it's like me personally, my dad was extremely strict. I couldn't talk to a boy on the phone, let alone talk about dating. And I feel that we have to be a little bit more open to, a lot more open to the conversations for sure, the education, and also be a little bit more open to allowing young people to date while they're in your household, like while they're still in your view and in under your supervision. Allow them to have conversations with the opposite sex. Allow them to explore having a crush and being able to, go on dates that are appropriate. And that may encourage them more to date within their age group and to date appropriately and know what to do when they get older, when they go to college, when they become adults. A lot of women weren't even given the chance or the opportunity to date, possibly maybe until their senior year or around that time when prom and all of that is going on. But some of them, their parents don't even want to have the conversation or be open to it. And then they go to college, and then that's when you hear girls going wild while they're in college because this is their first time even being able to have a little bit of freedom. Or you hear about girls that, grown women that haven't found a person yet or haven't got married yet because they're starting from scratch as an adult, as a young adult. So if you have one family dynamic where the parents have been allowing their children to explore and to date and to get to know what that's like at a younger age, most likely they'll have a healthier dynamic or healthier relationship with it as they get older going to college. And then they usually end up marrying sooner versus us, where it's like you're sheltered, you got a strict parent, and you start sneaking around or you start learning from the wrong people, you go to college, you're doing the most, whatever. It's we got to start when the kids are young. What's up, realist? So the initial topic was, can you have a lover while you are waiting for the one? So I was talking about, intentional dating. I've been talking about that this week. And, a lot of people want their person and they want to have their next person be their last person. They want the next person that they meet to be there forever. But it's not like you're just gonna find your person, without putting in the work. Like clearly there's a problem out here in these dating streets where people are having trouble finding their person. So it takes some time. And a lot of people are doing the work on themselves to heal, to grow, to raise their standards. And it's making dating even harder because the more work you're doing on yourself, the higher your standards are, the more you know about what you want, the stricter your program becomes, and the harder it is to find that person. But then if you are, as a grown person, if you have these needs that you don't necessarily want to put on ice just because you don't have your person, what do you do? So a lot of people don't want to be abstinent. Some people are forced to be abstinent because they've made a declaration to themselves to not, be intimate with someone unless they've made a commitment. But a lot of people are not willing to do that because who's to say you'll get a committed relationship anytime soon? Should you have to put your needs on hold during that time? So I was talking about the possibility of exploring having a lover because this has come up with my clients as well as my friend group. And, people are like, I need intimacy. I want to find my person. I'm out here doing the work. I'm trying to date. I'm on apps. I'm going out more. I'm doing all these things and I haven't found my person, but I have needs, you know. So I'm saying a lover not in the sense of a situationship or not even like a friend would benefit because I feel like that's a negative connotation too. It would literally have to be the maturest connection that you could ever think of. Like both parties would have to be very emotionally mature. There would have to be boundaries. It would have to be a situation where we both know that we're not each other's forever for whatever reason. This is just not aligning on that level, but there's a sense of attraction here. There's a mutual respect. We care about each other. We have chemistry. We might even want to travel together, go on a date, sip some wine, whatever the case is. I don't know what lovers looks like for each individual person, but is that a thing? Can people have a lover while they're on their pursuit to finding their forever? That's the question of the night. And I talked about that for a little while. I wasn't getting no feedback, so I went on into the next subject of what's going on with Brandy and Wanye and how it relates to what I've been through as well. But I really am curious to know if people think that they can have a successful um, intimacy, agreements with someone to fulfill their needs while in pursuit of their forever person. Really says, I just keep to myself, but open to all if that's making sense. So, what is your relationship status and what are you actually doing? Like, if you're single, do you want to be in a relationship? And if so, what are you doing to make that happen? Completely single, don't mind being in a relationship, I guess. See, you don't sound like you being intentional right now. You just sound like you're just letting life happen to you. Like, I'm single. If it happens, it happens. If I find somebody, I guess I'm cool with it. Like, where's the passion and the excitement and the effort and the energy? Like, what's up? And that's what I'm talking about, the people that are really, they really, really do desire to have their person, and it just hasn't happened yet. And they've not made no commitments to be abstinent. Because I went on a five and a half year abstinence journey. And even though it wasn't necessarily what I wanted, I had made a commitment that I did not want to break that unless I had a partner who cares about me and who, wants the same things that I do. And, some people want to be abstinent until marriage. Some people are like, I don't want to be abstinent at all. I'm a sensual being. I have needs, and it might not be my person, but it's going to be a person. So I don't know. And you say you want it, but with the right person. Don't we all? I mean, yes, you definitely want the right with the right person, but what do you do in between now and then? And then do you think it's possible to have a lover without catching feelings like this? There's an understanding that we have great chemistry, attraction, respect, and we can get down, but if I see you outside on a date with somebody, I'm not going to trip. That's your business. If you see me, that's what it is. If you get right up from what we just did and go in the other room and talk to the guy that you just gave your number to yesterday, I'm cool. Like, what does it look like? I don't know. What does it actually look like? What about you? Talk about it. I stay out the way when I feel a slight connection. I'll investigate. Mm. When you stay out the way when you feel a slight connection, you'll investigate. Hmm. I'm I'm in a space right now where I'm just I am excited about having a person again. But I feel like right now my best bet is to get back to prioritizing self and work on a few things because this has been a really rough year for me. So I had to personally get some things back on track. Like I've been pouring into a lot of other people, pouring into a lot of other cups, going through a lot, grieving, and now it's time to like recalibrate and get back on my square. I kind of fell off my square a little bit, a lot of bit. So that's where I'm at. But I'm excited about, I feel like once I get back on track with that, I will align with my forever person. But at the same time, these lover conversations have been coming up a lot for some reason. Like I've had someone personally tell me that that's what I'm supposed to be on. Like you're not supposed to be abstinent. You're literally supposed to be traveling the world and having these experiences with different lovers and this and that. And I'm like, me? I don't want to do all that. I just want one person. But I don't know. But my, clients have been feeling like, they're getting a little frustrated because they do want their forever person. They're doing the right things. They're on the right path of that. They're being intentional. They're putting themselves out there more. They're trying apps, doing the work on themselves, all the things. But then it's like, I got needs. And friends too, friend groups, my friends are talking about that in my friend groups as well. Do you actually want someone or are you like me? You investigate. I actually do want someone, but I feel like um I just need to give myself a little bit more time because relationships are a lot, And if you fall off the square of prioritizing yourself and choosing yourself and maintaining your standards, you will F around and find out that you should have just stuck with that lane of doing that and not being focused on other things. I hope I'm making sense. I hope I'm making sense. But I feel like when you get too distracted or life is lifing, sometimes you can be in a vulnerable position to, you know, you can mess around and become very vulnerable to other people. And you have to make sure that you are grounded and that you maintain your standards. And I feel like I hadn't been grounded because I was going through so much this year. So that's what I'm working on, being grounded so I won't fall for the okie doke. Now, as far as having a lover, I don't know. I'll have to see what that looks like because the question comes up. The next question that'll come up is, can you actually handle having a lover? Because it sounds good. Like, oh, it's passionate. Is somebody fulfilling your needs? You have somebody that you could be intimate with, but you don't have to do all the work that a relationship requires. But then next thing you know, you didn't caught feelings or they didn't caught feelings. Somebody is overstepping boundaries. Somebody is, wanting more. And then you mess around and get hurt when you was just trying to have a good time. So I definitely think it's possible though. It just has to be some really, really mature people with great boundaries, and they have to be able to exercise the art of detachment. And I feel like I'm just thinking about my best friend. I don't know if y'all remember I posted the vlogs from Chicago when I was in my best friend's wedding almost a year ago. April 26th will be a year. My best friend passed away on New Year's Eve. So lately I've been hearing his voice saying, you got to practice the art of detachment. And like, that's a real thing. It's very difficult to do that. And that's like, not just with having a lover, that's really with everything and everybody. Like, to be able to have a deep connection and to have love and even be in love without being detached or without being attached, like to practice detachment is really a skill. Um, and he and I would always talk about that. And that's like, wow. Um, how do you really, really, I guess it's a beautiful thing to be connected with something and not feel like you own it. Like it's more of like an experience and that you're grateful for. I think that's really the key to loving while being detached. It's not like being disconnected, like you're cold or you know, you don't allow yourself to get deep into it. It's more so like this is not ownership. This is not an unhealthy attachment where you're holding on to this person or person, place, or thing. It's just like you're allowing it and you're, really connecting in that way. You've been accused of not reciprocating and you hate that because you swore you were trying your best. Well, what were some examples that they used to explain that you were not being reciprocal? And thank you about my friend. Yeah, I lost my best friend on December 31st, and then 9 days later, I lost my cousin. So this year just started out very rough. But yes, what were they saying about you not reciprocating? Because that's big now. What Lauryn Hill say? Uh, how does that song go? Reciprocity. See, no one loves you more than. How does that part go? Mm. Excuse me. You were told, excuse me, you were told that you were unloyal. This is me being 100. So first you weren't reciprocating, and now you were unloyal. I need some examples because those are two big accusations. And was this in a relationship or was this with a friend? Shoulders just popping. It's a long story. Well, we got time. It's Friday night. I ain't got no job and I ain't got shit to do. No, I'm just playing. I understand. Well, I will say that reciprocity is huge, you know. If that person was feeling, you said you were trying your best. So I wonder, was it a difference in love languages? Was it a difference in attachment styles? Was it a difference in communication style? Did they just need a lot more than you were able to give? Or were they wanting way too much for what you all had going on? Hmm. While you're typing that, if anybody is on here that needs a little bit of support gaining clarity with something going on in their life, in their love or dating journey, or with their business, such as content strategies, content plans, just learning how to utilize and monetize your gifts, feel free to book a dream clarity call with me. I linked it in the description, it's also in my bio. I am the Dream Doula, supporting you on birthing your ideas into reality. So, Realist says, too much to type for real, but I always felt my heart was in the right place. I'd say they probably cared more than I did at the time, but I grew to care later. And that's what, let me not make it personal. Let me not make it personal, and I'm not laughing at you or your situation. But I've found that in a lot of cases, it seems as if men don't realize what they have when they have it. And then later on, when it's fizzled out or when it's too late, then all of a sudden it's like, oh, I do care, or I did, have deeper feelings than I thought I did. And then it's too late. I just I just feel like y'all have to really allow yourselves to be present in the moment and realize what you have while you have it, because a woman is, and I'm just speaking in general, I know that every woman is not like this, but for the most part, a woman is going to do all that they can to make it work when they really care about somebody. And they're going to give chances, they're going to communicate, they're going to try, they're going to put in effort. And all the while, they're as strong as their love and their desire to be with you is at that time, the more they're crying and begging and asking for reciprocity or whatever it is that they need, the more they're pulling back their feelings. And by the time they leave or they're done with it or they're forced to make a different choice, I'm not going to say the love is gone, but it's like the largest part of the pain has already happened because it's been happening within the relationship. And then they have to go through their healing process and then that's when the men is like, boop, light bulb. Oh, I do want her. I do love her. I do like her. I do care about her. Come back. And now she's already done her healing work. So she's damn near in the clear. He said, you have to throw this in also. You were never used to having someone care about you that much. You're not a dog either. You'd rather have one woman versus a million. Oh, some people really don't have the capacity to hold or to receive the love that someone wants to give them. And that's another, and I hate to do a shameless plug, but I do have a program called 5 Ways in 5 Days. It's a program that teaches you how to utilize the 5 love languages into your daily acts of self-care and self-love, but it also has prompts and exercises for you to figure out if you have blockages and where those blockages are for giving and receiving love. So I'm wondering, do you have an avoidant attachment style? Like, do you shut down or like go within or kind of run when things get a little bit too much? Like, don't really feel like you have the capacity to hold conflict or when somebody wants to communicate or um when you feel like somebody loves you a little bit too much, do you kind of run from it or stray away versus sitting in it? Who's at my door? Hold up now. I just got a ring app notification. No, I was about to say. Anyway, now they resent you. Worst feeling ever. I really hate it. I just feel like there's so many beautiful partnerships that could be, but it's just like the people is, I don't know if it's wrong timing. I guess everything happens in divine timing. So, what did you learn? Maybe she was just sent in your life to teach you something. What did you learn from her? What did you learn about yourself? What are you going to do differently moving forward? Have you actually expressed your regret to her? Have you apologized? Have you taken accountability? Is it all the way up? You say she resents you, but is she even open to having a conversation with you? I just feel like there could be so many more beautiful partnerships if people just got it together while they still were connected. It's all a test anyway. You learn to be more cautious of your actions when dealing with somebody. You still didn't answer if what type of attachment style you have. Because what is being cautious? Do you feel like you have the capacity to be loved, to receive the amount of love or even more than she was giving you? Do you feel like you give yourself that amount of love that she was giving you? Hmm. Okay. You say you know you can. Mm-hmm. 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 Well, I know I can say that I've learned while being connected with someone in recent times that I have a wound that I thought I had healed. You know, we're never all the way healed, but I did a lot of work on this particular wound that stems from childhood, and of course, it has been triggered over time in adult relationships and things of that nature. And it hadn't been triggered in a very long time, so I thought I'm cool. I'm good. I've done the work. I have reached a certain level. Can't nobody, you know, knock me off my square when it comes to that. But um, connecting with people will definitely hold a mirror. I be going like this, like hold a mirror, like a little cute handheld mirror. It's really like a big old full length mirror that they holding up that will show you where you need to do work. And it's it can be hurtful in the moment, but it's really a beautiful thing to look at your experiences and relationships and connections and meeting people and being in contact with people and seeing how um what you can learn from those experiences. And I learned like my inner child is still sensitive about certain things. And um you know you can spiral down a whole other loop that you thought was closed if you don't, like, you really won't know. So like connecting with people is the healing journey in action. Like the healing journey, we do the work on ourselves, and that's beautiful to learn about yourself and to gain tools and to um heal, or I don't want to use the word heal, but correct certain things of your in your own habits and behaviors, and take accountability and really access certain parts of yourself that you may have closed off. um, it gives you the opportunity to repair certain relationships or connections that you've had in the past that have contributed to your pain or whatever, and also allows you to forgive yourself and others, acceptance, all of the things. And then you create, once you've done a lot of this healing work, you start creating new ideologies, you start shifting your mindset, you have this new outlook in life, and you have a plan for how you're going to go moving forward. When you're given the opportunity and the chance to do it again, you're like, oh, I'm gonna do this differently, I'm gonna do that differently, I'm gonna do whatever. Even when it comes to like, there might be a way that you were raised in your childhood, and then you're like, oh, when I have kids, I'm not gonna do this, I'm not gonna do that. And all of this sounds so beautiful in theory, because that's all it is. You've done the research, you've done the work, you have some theories. But when your ass gets to practicing this, it's a totally different experience. So you have all this healing work, these tools, these, you've repaired all these things, you've healed your inner child. But then when you start connecting with people, being in a relationship with people, all these things, and these triggers start happening, and then you like, I got the tools, I know what's happening here. You have the language, but you're still experiencing the emotion, or you're still going through the process of what that feels like when that trigger goes off. So I believe that the healing work helps you with what happens next after you're triggered again, because you do have the tools, you do have the language, you do know what's going on, but it doesn't protect you or prevent you from having the experience of being triggered. Same with being a parent. Like, I'm not a parent yet. I know how I was raised. I know the research that I've done on parenting. I know that I make sure that I follow certain people that parent in the way that I would like to parent. I've seen people parent in a way that I do not want to parent. I don't desire to parent. And all that sounds beautiful in theory. But when I become a parent, like, one of the things, I don't want to put my hands on my kids. But who knows? In the moment when I have kids, I might have to pop one of their ass. No, I'm just playing. But I'm just saying, it's all for here for us to learn. So they bring up every time they felt I was crappy to them, and instead of arguing, I let them get it off. Looking back, I should have been better. I reset myself at times. I don't know if you meant resent yourself at times, because I didn't see how they seen it. Women and men are just wired different as far as emotions. I'm not a bad guy. I just had to work on myself. Yeah, I understand not wanting to argue with her, but maybe you could find a way to not excuse, but kind of explain. what was going on at the time and just, ask for her forgiveness. And it seems like the only thing now to do is just move forward. But it's it's a lot. Everything and everyone is here for us to learn, but it doesn't always feel good when you have to go through the hard lessons. And especially when you go through it, like you get tested and maybe you fail the test at the moment, or maybe you don't fail the test. Maybe the test is that, you know, for you to see what it is that you're refusing to see, or maybe it's something that you couldn't see without that other person. And then that's their purpose in your life. So, yeah, we still haven't got down to the nitty gritty of if you can have a lover while you're waiting on your person. But I think the answer is if you can't emotionally handle it, if you get attached, if you don't have good boundaries, don't even do it. And then if you're gonna have a lover, whether you having a lover or you have a partner that is your man or your woman, you got to be careful out here. It's a lot going on out here in these streets. You got to be honest and open about your sexual health. Talk about it. Get the paperwork. Go to the clinic together. Whatever you need to do. You also need to talk about how you're going to protect yourselves from unwanted transmitted infections, unwanted pregnancies, how you're going to prevent the pregnancy if that's what you're not trying to have. And, um, you know, have the hard conversations. Especially somebody who proved they were there in every aspect. It hurts. Oh, I didn't read that part. You said the worst thing somebody you care about can say is, I don't feel that way anymore. Especially somebody who proved they were there in every aspect. It hurts. Yeah. And that's why I understand that men are wired differently from women, but y'all gonna have to bunker down and ground and be present into your emotions and be honest with how you really feel about somebody, because everybody's not going to give you multiple chances. And, you know, I remember when me and my ex husband were going through our breakup, and I remember it like it was yesterday. We had a very toxic relationship, but we had a lot of deep love for each other too, because I was with him since I was 16 years old. So at this time, I was like 20, 23, 24. And it was when we had separated, and I was staying with my cousin at the time. And I remember I was sitting on the side of the bed and we were arguing, and he was sounding like very nonchalant about the fact that I was months away from, I don't think at that time I hadn't decided to file for divorce, but I was done with him. Like I had left. I started off living with my best friend at the time, and then I moved out of her place and moved in with my cousin temporarily. And I felt like during the separation, I was still trying. I was still wanting us to make it work. And it was like one sided. So even though he was the cause of all the reason why I left, I was still like, I still love you. I still want to fight for our marriage. Can we do counseling? Can we do this? Can we do that? Individual counseling, couples counseling. I was in therapy, or was I? I know I had therapy before, but I might have not been in therapy at the time. So I was willing to go back to therapy. I had I had bought this book that addressed some of the things that he was doing in the relationship, and I asked him to pick the book up. I paid for it and left it at the Barnes and Noble counter, and I asked him to pick it up and just read the book. At the very least, read the book. I had emailed him with certain things that I felt that we needed to do in order to reconcile and save the marriage. So it was like he didn't necessarily want the marriage to end, but he wasn't doing the things that I was asking him that I needed in order to save the marriage. And he was utilizing the separation as a break, and I was still operating as a married woman, just separated. So I'm like, oh, you outside? Like you not doing nothing on this list. You back outside in the streets doing what the hell you want to do, and I'm not here for it. So I got fed up, and I remember he was kind of being very nonchalant about it. And I just remember going off, because when I snap and go off and I'm in a blacked out type of mindset, it's a different Asha. Like this tone that I use, that I'm speaking from, is I be somewhere else. And I don't think anybody else has gotten me to that level but him. I've mellowed out since then. But I just remember yelling at the top of my lungs, and I was just like, all right, be content. Like I just kept repeating, be content, be content. Because at that moment, I knew that I was done. And I just wanted him to know that you, up until this moment, you've had the opportunity to save our marriage. And this is my final straw with it. So I want you to know to be content, because a lot of men will, they'll still think that there's another chance, that it's still open, that there's another possibility, that this is not it. Like, she's mad, but we're gonna be able to make up. But I knew I was done. And shortly after that, I think that might have been probably around August or September, maybe. We separated earlier that year, and when it was still winter. And I remember I just got like a burst of, I don't know if it was energy or if it was just, I don't even remember how I ended up getting a new car. I don't remember getting into an accident or nothing, but somehow I ended up getting a new car. I, was just elevating, getting myself back in the mindset of like, I'm single again. Like, I got to get my shit together and get right. Like, I'm not going to be staying with my cousin forever. Let me get myself together so I can get a new place. And I ended up finding me a nice condo, and I ended up moving into that October. And I remember somehow he ended up with my wedding rings. I don't remember how he ended up with them. I don't know if I gave them to him during an argument or something, but he had my wedding rings. So I remember meeting up with him in my new car. I had convinced him to meet with me to give me my rings. And he was like, I don't want to give you the rings because I feel like you're going to sell them and then it's going to be over. Like, there's not going to be a chance. I was like, I ain't going to sell them. He met up with me. He was like, oh, this your new car? I'm like, yep. Gave me my rings. I went straight to the pawn shop. I sold them rings, and me and my cousin, it was supposed to be two of my cousins that we had planned a trip to go to Vegas. And one of my cousins ended up not being able to go, but we went to Vegas, and that was the clarity that I needed, like getting out of Colorado for a few days. And that was when I made the decision that I was going to go forward with the divorce. Like, I think I made the decision right before we went. And it was just like, this is it. So after that, once he realized that I was serious and I wasn't playing no games after that, and I ended up, I might be telling y'all too much because it's going to be in my book. But anyway, long story short, that was October. I ended up filing for divorce that New Year's Eve of 2013. And was it 2013 or 2012? Of 2012. I filed for divorce, and then we had our first court date a couple of months later. And the first court date, like, I want to say he would be calling me, like, crashing out, trying to get me back, he showed up at the job. I had transferred jobs, and I remember he showed up at my job one day asking me if I could help him fill out his divorce papers that he was served. And he was still kind of trying to make light of it. Like, can you help me do this? And I'm not gonna lie, when I saw him, when he showed up, like, those feelings kind of came back, like, wow, this is really my husband that I'm getting ready to divorce, that I've been with and I've known for all these years. And I was like, no, you fill it out on your own. And he just spiraled out after that. And I remember our first court date, when we were supposed to be there to, show up for the divorce hearing. I get a phone call from the hospital. I think it was him calling me from the hospital number. I don't think he called me from his number. And he was just talking out of his head. I couldn't understand what he was saying. I think he was like, I've been in an accident or whatever he was saying. And he said, he was just talking crazy. So I was like, put the nurse on the phone. And basically I'll detail this in my book, but long story short, he ended up in a one-person car accident, and that almost ended his life. Like he crashed. He used to wear caps, so his cap was crushed all the way into his head. So if he didn't have the cap on, he would have passed away in this car accident. He ended up breaking his hip, having to have surgery, and all of this because you're spiraling out of control and crashing out because you're now realizing that it's too late. So it's just, I just hate that it always has to be. I ain't gonna say always because I don't want to speak that into my future, but I just hate that those things happen where people don't realize what they have and the other person is just fighting so hard for it to keep it, to fix it, and all of that, and then the person doesn't realize what's really happening until it's too late, and then that's when they crash out and feel bad. um Would you at least entertain his conversation these days after all that? Are second chances a bad thing, even third chances? When you do, or when do you feel it's over? Sometimes people are meant to meet up later. Would you agree, LOL? When you play with your hair, that mean you care or cared? Of course I cared. That was the person I was with for 8+ years. But second chances and third chances. I think that there is an opportunity for second and third chances depending on what occurred. Like there's certain things that is just like deal breaker. I'm hearing noises. Cuckoo. I didn't hear nobody calling back. Hmm. Let's just say that it was somebody upstairs, hopefully. Yeah, there's certain deal breakers that is just like you do this and you're done. Because another thing that'll be in my book that I talked about publicly before is that same man before I got married cheated and had a baby on me during our relationship with his baby mama. So he had number 8 child with the woman that he had his 6th child with. And the pain and agony and suffering and misery that I experienced after that happened, I would have been better off going through the pain and suffering and misery of being without him by just leaving. I would have, like, that should have just been like, that's a deal breaker, girl. Bye. Like, leave. No. So having a baby on somebody, cheating, excuse me, abuse, blatant disrespect. Um, if it's even if it's something small, that's not necessarily like the worst thing. If there are no real changes and you coming back with the same shit that made the person leave, it's just like stay where you at. So I definitely think that there's a possibility for second chances. Third is probably a little bit too much because if you didn't learn the first time and realize that shit ain't sweet over here and it's serious, and you want to come play in my face again for the third time, like come on. Mm-mm. So I just think people need to grow up and really get it together because you can mess around and lose out on a person that you ain't gonna never forget and never be able to get over, and you're never gonna be able to find another person like that person. And you're gonna be looking for that person and everybody else and not be successful at it. And then you're gonna end up with that person trying to do right by them and you still miserable because they're not the one that you once had. They're not the one who got away. Cheating is a deal breaker. You used to feel that way, but the older we get, it's like, why did they? Just to be fair, I get it. We always look back. Yeah. We always do. But yeah. But the only way to prevent yourself from not getting hurt is to keep yourself out the game. Because unfortunately, that's a risk we must take if we want to experience love and partnership and connection and intimacy. There's always a possibility of being hurt, and it may not be intentional. It may not be something as harsh as abuse or adultery or infidelity or somebody having a baby or any type of disrespect or anything. It could just be things not working out. And, you know, what they say is better to have loved and lost than to never have loved at all. But it sucks. But like my How to Beat Single journal, another plug, go and get your journal, How to Beat Single, linked in my bio. Um, you really want to look at the lessons that you learn from that person. Like, what did they come into your life to teach you? And what did you learn about yourself? And, you know, I've learned a lot from the things that I've been through. And I wish it didn't have to be such hard lessons, but apparently I was built for it because I'm still here. So that's the way the cookie crumbles. But anywho, it's Friday evening. I think I want to get into a Netflix series. I want to go get comfortable. I got dressed today and didn't do nothing. Like literally took a shower, put on clothes, and laid down and fell asleep. And woke right back up. And I said, let me do something while I'm fully dressed. I'm gonna say that I'm been very proud of myself because I joined a challenge in February, mid February, to post every day for 30 days. And that really helped me. Like, since I started the year off with grieving and everything, it really helped me to get back on track with consistency. And I just focused on that for the 30 days. I just kind of put together whatever was on my mind for the day or put out some stuff that maybe had been in my drafts or needed to be edited, but it helped me to stay consistent. And I've still been going strong with posting every day, but I've been trying to be a little bit more intentional about what I'm posting. Um, but I won't say that I've been doing my due diligence for YouTube. So that's my goal for this month, to get more consistent on here with long form content, because I have been posting a few shorts here and there, but I really want to meet my goal of getting over 1,000 subscribers. Hopefully by the end of this month, that would be lovely. I think I'm at 944 subscribers. So I think I can get, you know, 56 subscribers between now and the 1st of May. So that's the goal. I'm enjoying being live now, so maybe I will do my best to come live at least 3 times a week on here and maybe post. I'm saying this out loud so y'all can hold me accountable. Post at least 3 shorts a week, and maybe I can get at least 1 long form video a week over here. And I'm gonna try to get them 1,000 subscribers, and then we'll run these watch hours up and we will get monetized over here. That's the plan. That's the goal. But anybody that's watching this later on or that may be on here live, tap in with me. You can go to the link in my bio. I have some services there. There's a free tool that you can tap into if you feel like you've been stuck in some areas of your life, to figure out what type of imposter syndrome are you really dealing with, because that's probably what it is that's got you stuck, or that has you not really putting legs on your ideas. And if you already know that you are lacking clarity in some area of your life, whether that's, how to show up online, how to, strategize, monetize, utilize your gifts, or love, life, dating, what do I really want? Do I want a lover? Do I want a intentional love? Do I want a partner? Am I ready for partnership? Or are there some areas that you need to heal from? Are there some areas that are still needing work on that you need some support with? Tap in with me. I have a few different options for calls. On the lower level, it's the Dream Clarity Call, which pretty much just gives me an opportunity to sit and talk with you, figure out what you got going on, and we talk it out and gain some clarity for you. So tap in with me. Like I said, you can get a journal. You can get enrolled into the self-love program, 5 Ways in 5 Days. And I will have an imposter syndrome workshop coming soon too. I'm building it out currently. And stay tuned for more story times. I said I was gonna wait until I reach a certain milestone with my book writing process before I add more story time because I don't want to tell y'all the whole story, or you ain't gonna want to read the book. But I do have some story times. If anything, you can go look at the story time, comment if there's any particular questions you have on those story times, or if there's something that you want to know, and I'll be happy to share. Possibly, I'll depending on what the question is, I will share. But anyway, I hope you all are having a wonderful Friday evening. Tap in with me. Have a great weekend. And I will definitely come, kick it with y'all again soon. Thank you, Realist, for communicating with me and sharing and being open. And I definitely want to send you some positive energy. And I hope that, you know, the love that you once had with that past experience carries you forward, and that the lessons that you learn will, help you to evolve and grow as a man, and that you've forgiven yourself, and hopefully she will forgive you one day as well. But anyway, I'll talk to y'all later.